So,
You're probably struggling a little to get past a few junctions in Warframe. See these covers in each map you can't really squeeze behind? These aren't for you. These are for the enemy. In Warframe, you are supposed to be an absolute god who slaughters countless enemies in his path, and he can achieve this feat by modding. This video is quite long as I'll be going through how damage and mods work in this game, so I've divided it up to many chapters, and you can skip around as you wish. Mods are these little cards you can put on your weapons, warframes, companions, archwings, and more. You can pick and choose your combination of these mods however you want, but to actually turn yourself into a god, it's best to min-max everything and make sure your equipment synergizes with each other. Some of you may have seen these square boxes on the bottom and thought, oh no, the game's gonna start charging me for more storage space. No, these squares expand infinitely by themselves, and you can collect every mod in the game, if you're crazy enough, for free. Let's start with your Warframe. Go to your arsenal, hover over your Warframe, and click on Upgrade. Here you will see all the mods you've collected for your Warframe. Hovering over each mod, you can read the description of what they do at the bottom, and a little symbol on the top right with a number next to it. This symbol is the polarity, and this number is the drain. At the top left of this tab, you can see the total capacity of each Warframe, and this capacity can be increased as you level up. Each card you place will take up X amount of capacity, with that capacity being halved if you match the polarity symbols on the mod slot and the mod itself. Placing a card with the wrong symbol will result in extra drain being taken up by that card, which you want to avoid. At the very top, you have the aura slot on the left, which you can only place aura mods on. Aura mods increase the amount of capacity on your Warframe, and their effect is shared between everyone in your squad, not just you. Matching polarities will double the extra capacity an aura can give. Right of the aura is the space reserved for Exilus mods. To unlock this slot, you must use an Exilus Adapter, which is an item not very easy to come by in this game, so only use it for Warframes you really love. Exilus mods have this little symbol on them and are generally mods associated with movement or passive effects, so they're a low priority to upgrade most of the time. You can only place one of each mod, and there are plenty of different builds you can go through to make the game fun and turn yourself into a god, so have fun experimenting with that. These two little empty things next to your mods are slots reserved for arcanes, which are basically hard to earn endgame loot you'll encounter way later, so don't worry about those for now. At the bottom right of this UI, there's a button labeled Actions, which contains options for changing your Warframe's polarity, moving that polarity around, or doubling its capacity. To double a Warframe's capacity, you can use an Orokin Reactor, or Potatoes as nicknamed by the community. These are pretty rare to come by, mostly through Gifts of the Lotus alerts or sortie missions later in the game, so use them wisely. To modify a polarity, your Warframe must be rank 30, and you must have a Forma, which is an item that you can earn through a variety of ways, but most commonly through Void Fissures. This will use up your Forma, change that mod slot to the desired polarity on that Warframe, and reset your Warframe's rank back to rank 0, which you must then level up again to rank 30. And that is the definition of insanity. Don't worry though, it's actually super worth it. Next, your weapons. Back in your arsenal, hover over one of them and click on Upgrade. Some Warframes will come with their own exalted weapons, which you can also upgrade with most of the same amount of mods. In the Upgrades menu, you will see mods for your weapons, and it's pretty much the same UI as upgrades for your Warframes. Weapons are as equally important to upgrade in this game as your Warframe, so don't neglect them like I first did. Just like your Warframes, primary and secondary weapons also have slots for Exilus mods and arcanes. Melee weapons, however, only have stances which will change your combo set for that melee, as well as adding extra drain capacity. Just like Warframes, weapons can have their own polarity changed with Forma, or have their capacity doubled with Orokin Catalysts, which are just blue potatoes used for weapons and are obtained through the same methods as Orokin Reactors. Now all weapons have a whole tower of stats listed on the side which you can modify. Accuracy is basically the same thing as bullet spread. Sometimes you may need to mod it for snipers or bows, but most of the time it's unnecessary to worry about. Fire rate is in shots per second. Magazine is clip size. Multi-shot is how many bullets your gun will piss out every shot. You can increase this for maximum mean value. Noise, which can only be alarming or silent. Reload speed displayed as seconds. Riven disposition is a late game mechanic, so ignore that. And trigger type, which cannot be changed. Critical chance is the innate chance for a weapon to do critical hits, and each crit is the base damage multiplied by the crit multiplier. Headshotting an enemy will multiply your damage by this multiplier, and it is possible to get a critical headshot hit from your critical chance, which will stack another crit multiplier on multiplicatively. Later in the game, you will encounter more mods and crazier weapons, which will enable you to have a critical chance of above 200%. These will turn into orange crits. And if you manage to get anything above 300%, they will turn into red crits. The effect of these crits is once again multiplicative to the previous crit multipliers. Now we're going to dive into the complicated topic of elements. Each weapon in the game does some basic physical or elemental damage. Physical damages are known as IPS. Impact, puncture, slash. The basic elements are cold, electricity, heat, and toxin. Combined, these elements can make blast, corrosive, gas, magnetic, radiation, or viral. Each of these elements have their own benefits and weaknesses, and if you manage to inflict that status on an enemy, calculated by your weapon's status chance, they will suffer in different ways. We call this a proc. Impact will stagger enemies, puncture will decrease their damage, slash will make them bleed, cold will freeze them, electricity will cause a Tesla chain between enemies, heat will set them on fire and cause them to panic, poison will delete their health over time and ignore shields, blast will make enemies inaccurate, corrosive will reduce an enemy's armor, gas will create gas clouds, magnetic will disrupt their shields, radiation will confuse them and cause them to friendly fire, and viral will decrease their base health. You don't necessarily have to proc an enemy for the damage to be effective, but it's a great benefit to do so. So back to your mods. Most weapons will do base IPS damage, which you can increase with your mods. If a weapon does not have one of impact, puncture, or slash, adding these mods will have no effect, as 0 times 0 is still 0. Elemental damages are different, however. These cards will add the X% of your combined IPS as the elemental damage, regardless of if the weapon has any innate elements. You can combine the primary elements to create combined elements. Heat plus electric equals radiation. Heat plus cold equals blast. Heat plus toxin equals gas. Electric plus toxin equals corrosive. Electric plus cold equals magnetic. And toxin plus cold equals viral. You cannot have two primary elements on one weapon. Okay, so I knew that was a lot to go through, but it really becomes easier through practice, kinda like Pokemon. Let's take a brief break and talk about melee weapon combos. When you use a melee, at the bottom of your screen you will notice the game start to count your combo hits and display a combo multiplier. Snipers also have a combo multiplier. This combo multiplier will multiplicatively increase the damage number of these weapons. Some mods make weapons ridiculous when you increase your combos, so it's a great idea to build around those a lot of times. Combos can only go as high as 12 times though, so it's not that endless. Okay, in the next few sections of the video, I'm going to go over different damage types and their effects when used against other factions. Starting with the Grineer. All human Grineer, and their pets too, possess cloned flesh and therefore take minus 25% damage from impact, while taking plus 25% damage from slash. Cloned flesh also takes minus 50% gas, plus 25% heat, and plus 75% viral damage. Most Grineer units have a yellow health bar which indicates they are armored. The basic Grineer units such as Lancer or Drakmaster have ferrite armor and take plus 50% puncture, while taking minus 15% slash damage. They also take minus 25% blast damage and plus 75% corrosive. However, elite Grineer units like Bombards and Napalms possess alloy armor. Yes, the color of their health bars is the exact same as enemies with ferrite armor, so you're just gonna have to memorize which ones have which armor. Alloy armor takes minus 50% slash and plus 15% puncture. They also take minus 50% electric, minus 50% magnetic, plus 25% cold, and plus 75% radiation. Sometimes the Grineer have machinery like these big drills in sabotage missions or these rollerball things. They take plus 25% impact, minus 25% toxin, minus 25% viral, plus 50% electricity, and plus 75% blast. Encountering a machine though is so rare and in very specific missions that you don't even need to build your gear for these units. Overall, it's best to use puncture, heat, cold, corrosive, radiation, and viral when going on a Grineer mission. You can't fit all these elements onto the same weapon, so it's best to divide them along your arsenal, like blast corrosive on one weapon and radiation plus viral on the other. The Corpus. Human Corpus possess flesh. Delicious, delicious flesh. All flesh take minus 25% impact, minus 25% gas, plus 25% slash, plus 50% toxin, and plus 50% viral. The blue part of their health bar means they have shields. However, there are two kinds of shields and both are the same color. First, regular shields take minus 20% puncture, minus 25% radiation, plus 50% impact, plus 50% cold, and plus 75% magnetic. These shields are used by the more common enemies like crewmen and shield ospreys. The second type, known as proto shields, take minus 50% puncture, minus 50% heat, minus 50% corrosive, plus 15% impact, and plus 75% magnetic. These shields are used by the elite enemies like tech or nullifiers, and even Corpus bosses. Like the Grineer, Corpus can also possess alloy or ferrite armor, so have fun with that. Lastly, the robotic units. They take minus 25% slash, minus 25% toxin, plus 25% puncture, plus 50% electricity, and plus 25% radiation. Overall, it's best to use impact, cold, toxin, magnetic, and viral against the Corpus. Best to use magnetic plus toxin on one weapon, and radiation plus viral on another. The Corpus are a complicated bunch, so you're just gonna have to familiarize yourself with their shit. Infested. The Infested are the easiest faction to build for, so this will be a lighter load than the other two. All Infested take minus 50% radiation, minus 50% viral, plus 25% slash, and plus 75% gas damage. Enemies with infested flesh, meaning the more basic enemies like crawlers and chargers, and not the beefy ones like ancients or infested in the fossilized group, take minus 50% cold, plus 50% slash, plus 50% heat, and plus 50% gas. Fossilized infested, reserved for the more elite groups like ancients and swarm mutalist moas, take minus 25% cold, minus 50% toxin, minus 75% radiation, plus 15% puncture, plus 50% blast, and plus 75% corrosive. Infested sinew is an armor used by most Deimos enemies. They take minus 50% blast, plus 25% puncture, plus 25% cold, and plus 50% radiation. Lastly, we have our great friend Ferrite armor making a guest appearance on infested bosses and mini-bosses like Juggernauts. Overall, it's best to bully infested with slash, heat, corrosive, and gas. Slap on corrosive and blast on one weapon, and gas on another. The gas is most useful though. Corrupted. The Corrupted are made up of units from other factions. Since they're so diverse, it's best to bring corrosive plus blast on one weapon, radiation plus viral on another, and gas plus magnetic on the third. You do have 3 weapons after all. And these are basically all the main factions you need to worry about for now. Adapting your Warframes for these factions works somewhat differently. Each frame has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, Hildryn has a lot of shields and her abilities have to do with shield and armor stripping. This means she works amazingly against the Grineer and Corpus, but sucks at fighting the Infested because most of the time they have no armor or shields to strip. Frost has abilities which do cold damage and would therefore absolutely destroy the Corpus. Ember's abilities do fire damage and would murder the Infested. So it's best to use suitable Warframes against different factions. Lastly, in this video we'll go over how you can upgrade your mods and make them worth actually using. Here on your ship is where you can access your mods. Click on one mod, and if it prompts you how many to choose only one for now. You can choose to sell this mod for credits, or dissolve it for endo. Do this with duplicate mods if you want, but obviously don't delete your best shit like this. For now, click on Fusion to start upgrading your mod. Under your mod, now there's a plus and a minus. Each time you click the plus, the game will show you a preview of the effects of each rank added to the mod, with an increase in its drain cost, and how much endo and credits your upgrade will cost. These costs are doubled for every rank. Click Apply Fusion, confirm, and now you have a mod to make your ridiculous weapons even more ridiculous. It's always better to upgrade your gear with fully ranked mods rather than unranked mods, as by comparison, unranked mods are absolutely useless. Also, there's this little thing you can do if you select 4 mods. The transmute option will show up and at the cost of credits will roll you a random mod from the entire game. Some mods are not transmutable though, so don't get your hopes too high up. The top rightmost tab in the mod screen is the Ayatan treasures. These are just random statue pieces you can find on your own throughout different missions, or you can do weekly missions for Maru to earn an Ayatan statue. Sure, you can litter your ship with them like I have, but you can also go back to Maru and ask her to turn your unwanted treasures into extra endo. Ayatans with more stars in them give way more endo than just selling the stars and the statues separately. One final thing, as a new player you've probably collected a few damaged mods. These mods are just like their original counterparts but heavily weakened. Try to find non-damage versions of these mods and get rid of damage mods as soon as you can, they're just not good. By the way, you can quickly access this mod upgrade screen from your weapon or Warframe's upgrade screen by clicking on the mods button at the bottom right of that screen, which will neatly display all currently equipped mods on that piece of gear. And that's about it. This video turned out to be quite long because Warframe's just complex and confusing, I guess, but you'll have to figure it out. Everyone does. I've put a link below to the wiki page about elemental damages and just how damage works overall if you need some helpful charts. If you have any questions or think I've missed anything, you can drop a comment below and I'll get to it. Originally, this video was going to be about how to do sortie missions in Warframe, but I figured I can't do that without talking about damage first, so subscribe if you want to see that later. Good fun, Tenno, have luck!